When someone uses your past against you, they are not talking about who you are. They are talking about who you were. And Stoicism teaches us something brutally honest and deeply freeing about this moment. Your past is a fact, but it is not a sentence. It is a chapter, not the author. And the only reason it hurts when someone drags it into the present is because somewhere inside, you are still allowing it to define you. Because the moment you truly understand that you are not your past decisions, but the discipline of your present character, their words lose their power. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's worth is measured by what he gives his attention to, and when you give attention to accusations rooted in a version of you that no longer exists, you are surrendering control over your identity, because control is never taken by force, it is given through reaction. And the Stoics understood this better than any modern psychology ever could. When someone throws your past in your face, their real intention is not truth, it is leverage. Because people reach for the past when they can no longer control the present. They use old mistakes as weapons when they feel powerless in the now. And this is why Epictetus warned that no one can harm you unless you first allow their judgment to enter your mind as truth. Because the insult is not in the words, it is in your agreement with them. And the Stoic response is not anger, not explanation, not defense, but composure, because composure is dominance without noise, silence with certainty. And when you pause instead of reacting, when you breathe instead of arguing, you reclaim the moment they were trying to steal from you. Because reaction puts you beneath them, but restraint places you above the situation entirely. And this is where most people fail. They rush to explain, to justify, to prove they are no longer that person, not realizing that explanation is submission disguised as clarity. Because the man who knows who he is does not beg to be understood. He demonstrates it through consistency, through action, through quiet integrity. Stoicism does not ask you to deny your past, it asks you to place it where it belongs. Behind you is evidence of growth rather than a source of shame, because shame is only powerful where understanding is absent. And once you have truly learned from your mistakes, they become immune to manipulation. Epictetus said that if you accept your flaws, no one can use them against you. And this is the moment where control shifts back into your hands, because now when they bring up your past, they are met not with emotional collapse, but with calm presence, not with defensiveness, but with grounded certainty. And this unsettles people deeply, because they expected pain and received peace. They expected weakness and encountered strength, especially when the person using your past against you is someone close, a partner, a family member, someone who once had access to your vulnerability, because that is where it cuts deepest. But Stoicism draws a hard line here, where control begins, love ends, and boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. And when someone repeatedly uses your past to control your behavior, guilt your growth, or diminish your progress, they are not protecting the relationship, they are protecting their dominance within it. And the Stoic does not fight this with anger, but with limits, with the refusal to re-enter conversations that exist only to weaken the soul, because not every discussion deserves your energy, and not every person deserves access to your story. Vulnerability without discernment is not virtue, it is self-betrayal. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we teach people how to treat us by what we tolerate, and every time you refuse to relive your past for someone else's comfort, you reinforce your self-respect. And this is how the past loses its grip, not through denial, but through transcendence, through becoming so anchored in your present values that the old narrative no longer fits. And this is achieved daily, quietly, through Stoic practice, by rehearsing challenges in your mind before the day begins, so you are never caught off guard. By reviewing your conduct at night, not with punishment, but with honesty, by choosing to live as evidence rather than explanation, letting your discipline speak louder than your defense, and most importantly, by detaching your identity from your history, reminding yourself again and again that you are not the sum of your worst moments, but the pattern of your choices today. Because people only use your past against you when they sense hesitation, and when that hesitation disappears, so does their interest, because they were never interested in your growth, only in your guilt, and guilt is power only when it is accepted. But when you stop accepting it, when you stand firmly in who you are now, calm, consistent, unshaken, the game ends, because the Stoic victory is never loud, it is never announced, it is felt. It is the quiet confidence of a person who no longer needs to defend their evolution, who understands that the past cannot be changed, but its influence can be ended, and that true control is not about silencing others, but about mastering the self. Because the moment you stop arguing with who you used to be, the world loses the ability to weaponize it against you, and that is Stoicism, not suppression, not denial, but liberation through reason, discipline, and inner sovereignty.